You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 365. You see your favorite podcast? That means that if you did listen to a back episode every single day, it'd be next year before you ran out of shows. It'd be a year from now, a full year's worth of episodes, plus all kinds of bonus content. I'm Jeremiah Morrell, joined by co-host Bones, Adam Harcourt. Of Rush County, because we can't find a suitable co-host here in town anymore. We have to bring one all the way up. Special guest and noted co-host as well, Councilman Aaron Dicken.
In name only.
I mean, you are on the website.
I know.
We're glad to have you. Executive video producer, audio engineer, Zach Burcham.
Evening.
Do you guys remember?
Thrilled to be here.
Do you guys remember when he had energy?
Maybe in a week or two. I'm both tired and conserving.
You can
energy.
tell Aaron's coaching season has ended and Zach's is still underway.
Oh my God.
There's happiness and relief, and the other one is still a broken man.
I have like 9 to 10 hours of driving in about 24 hours starting tomorrow. So with and without kids. All with kids, actually. Just my kids are not my kids.
Here's your show preview. We're going to talk about Aaron. He's been coaching tennis. He's going to give us some updates on the city of Newcastle. We're going to give him a terrible question about a building downtown that he's not going to like, and he's going to give a sad, empathetic answer. And then we're going to awkwardly move on.
It's not even on the note. Oh, I see it. I see it now. Yeah. Great.
I'm glad he prepared himself for today.
Remember, I used to come with like pages of my own notes.
Today he's like, hey, do I need to prepare? I said, just read the notes. Let me know if you want. And he's like, do you have a microwave? I'm bringing popcorn. That was literally the amount of preparation that went into
priorities, baby.
We're going to talk about the hurricane. We're going to spend a fair amount of the show talking about the presidential and the vice presidential and the gubernatorial debates. Maybe some sports, depending on how much time we have. And then maybe Bones has more coin stories. We don't know. This show's about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we provoke you, other times we make you laugh, but hopefully you'll always learn something new. If, and only if, you're a member of our Patreon, you will hear a number of very bad phrasing activities that happened. But I promise it's entertaining.
To a degree.
You are a salesman, I swear. Patreon.com/BossHogOfLiberty to learn what that's all about. If you contribute $50 or more a month to the cause here, you get a shout out at the beginning of each and every episode. This week, those folks are John Phillips, Andy Moore Buick GMC, and Sports Corner and Varsity Outfitters are our guy Blake over there, who hooks us up all the custom embroidery we got rocking.
Nice.
He's your guy. Does a lot of stuff for Newcastle Athletics. Well, I'm going to get my words right here in a minute.
Newcastle Athletics.
And Newcastle Athletics. Have it spelled however you like.
That's a graduate program. I'd hope so.
Yeah. I was surprised it had so much to do with donkeys, honestly. Big, strong donkey town. You got to be a Democrat to get elected in the Athletics. Danny Morrell's in the chat. He says, I don't understand why Aaron is watching and is present. What a loser. What are you watching over there?
To monitor
you're just watching
these
the chat.
BS comments.
See what's going down. Let's see. We got you back, Mr. Aaron. You became a big time tennis coach.
That's right.
For the Newcastle Trojans.
Yeah.
Men's, ladies, women's, boys. What categories?
You know, they're upcoming men, grades 6 through 8. And man, you know, we haven't had a 6th to 8th grade boy in, I don't know, 5 years in our house. And I forgot how different it is.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
I mean, I know that my kids don't listen to me, but I had to realize that no, we're not there yet. We're not ready for, you know, this kind of thinking and this kind of whatever. But man, it was a lot of fun. Pretty sure I've permanently injured my shoulder because I am out there trying to, you know, be a high school tennis player again.
Have you tried swinging with your offhand?
I have not. I've just switched to pickleball. And that has done wonders. So we'll just see. Like any sensible man, I'm not going to do anything about it. And if it still hurts in January, I'll probably just start taking medicine.
You're going to wait until your deductible resets and then start to address it.
Because then the opportunities are endless.
Nothing's like, I mean, there is a horrible lottery win when you hit your deductible in like January or February.
You're both
and
excited.
And you're like,
and
well,
depressed.
I'll be paying for this for the next 10 years, but my prescriptions are now only 26 cents.
Yeah. What else do I need done? Yeah. Yep.
And and not without getting too much into the team or the dynamics, but you had a Guffey that was your assistant coach.
Yeah.
Producer
player.
Chris Guffey Staten, his brother was the assistant coach.
Yeah. And I played with him in high school. He was, I think, 2 years younger than I am. So it was good to reconnect with him on the tennis court, and just made it even more fun. And his kid played, and that's what was really fun, is watching all these kids that haven't really played before, all baseball players, which it's not the same swing at all, and they default to that baseball swing a lot though, and they send it. But his kid's just a spitting image of him, and that was kind of fun to watch. But a lot of improvement. Win percentage was, I think, about 10% as a head coach, so that feels good. You're not zero.
You're not challenging Rex Peckinpah for the coaching for the coaching Hall of Fame yet.
Not yet. And I was actually thinking, this makes sense because it was a lot like Ted Lasso. We talked a lot about positive thinking, positive self-talk, good character, etc. First season of Ted Lasso, they were awful. So next season, though, look out.
Bones, did you play any sports? You're a tennis guy?
I played tennis there at the very end of high school.
Oh,
for the Fighting Lions of Rushville?
Yes.
Nice.
Wasn't very good.
When'd you graduate?
07.
Oh, yeah. I was 04.
I'm a young one here today.
We may have played on the same court. I can't remember if we played Rushville or not.
For you because you didn't do 4 years, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I did like
just the very end.
07.
Yeah,
you were chasing a young girl, I'm sure, that played tennis, and you had to.
Well, no, because tennis and girls tennis and boys tennis are two different seasons.
Yeah, but you had to know how to play in order.
So, what was your motivation?
I don't remember. I think Mom said either go do something or you have to get a job.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? Football was no longer in the cards because I was 6'4", 120 pounds.
Can't imagine how you got the name Bones.
Oh, that makes sense.
So do you guys have a different coaching staff for the girls then in the spring?
He hasn't found out that he has to coach the girls in the spring yet.
Well, it was kind of by design. I think they do, but Elle's going to play in the spring, so I'm going to be out there regardless. Just depends on how much. So I don't know. I don't think they plan that far ahead.
That's a weird thing. I've forgotten that's a thing. That's the only sport that they. It's the only sport that they split the seasons between girls and boys.
Golf is that way too. Yeah, you're right.
I think soccer maybe too, right?
No,
soccer's the same.
Soccer's same, but I think you're right. I think it is just golf and they flip flop.
Yep,
because the girls golf's in the fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, strange thing.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's great that we have enough middle schoolers, because when Braylon played middle school tennis, my son, it was a co-ed team, which was fine, and they had large numbers, but they finally got so large they said, all right, we're splitting them up, and I still had 20 on my team, and a full match is 7 kids. You got 3 singles matches and 2 doubles matches, and so you had varsity JV, and then we still had extra, but it was fun. It was a learning experience for us all, I'm sure. But I had a team member email my school email, actually, thanking me.
That's very nice.
And said that he was unsure at the beginning of the season about doing it again, but he's now, I think the number he used was 1,000% sure he was playing next year. So
that's public school.
I feel like, yep, exactly. says the whole school kid.
As far as the state of Indiana is concerned, it was a private school.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Very small private school, exclusive.
You just jump right into that.
Where Jeremiah
Mama said it was good
in his class.
Mama said it was good.
Yeah.
Bones, every day is a high school reunion. So, Councilman Dicken, how are things? You got the last we heard, the city was like, I don't know, $300 million in debt.
Thereabouts.
And we were selling fire trucks or something. How are legitimately, how are things going? What's the status update? I haven't seen you in a minute.
From what I know, and I've missed the last few meetings because of moving a kid in at IU Bloomington, and then tennis, working on a tennis schedule that I didn't have a hand in, but I've kept in contact and asking questions. And so from what I understand, the insurance deficit is much smaller. I mean, it's still there, but it's much smaller.
We fixed that. I power of prayer.
Yes, exactly. And shock therapy. And I don't want to. I think I know about the number, but I don't want to guess because somebody will hold me to that, and then I'll be like, "Oh, I was just guessing." But so that's good. We got budget coming up, and I talked with Ashley Huffman, clerk treasurer, today. I think we've got the insurance budgeted correctly. Looked at that a little bit and some other lines, and I think it is what it is at this point. This isn't going to be fixed overnight, but if we have the right mindset, and by the right mindset I mean like, hey, let's focus on ourselves for a little bit. Let's not necessarily do any large projects. I feel like that ball has built up and has enough momentum on its own that we don't need to necessarily jump into anything right out of the gate, but I think we also can be supportive in other ways.
Building downtown is for sale, and you can get it right now for a fair price.
Yeah, I know. What building would you be talking about?
The Township Trustee Building.
I just wanted to hear you say it.
The YMCA, the old YMCA, the Church Street Gym.
The Church Street Gym.
I feel like Newcastle downtown could own like 4 high quality gyms, and have like a.
You could almost have like a split up sports complex if you wanted to, take the existing infrastructure per se and like make it and then just, have oh my gosh, what if we had a trolley and you just,
an urban rail line?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
that's some liberal propaganda over there. And you putting in light rail.
I know. Gosh, you go to New York, you go to Boston, and it's like, man, I would love to not drive to Indy, be there in a half hour, and be able to work on the way there. Are you kidding me?
Elevate the thing and make it a bridge so that one of us gets some money for a day job. Yeah,
there you go.
You got the monorail in Indianapolis they abandoned after 6 years.
Me, the life insurance guy? No, I'm just kidding. So I mean, yeah, that building. I'm not sure. Like they owned the building on 3, and it's now a car wash.
They sold it. Yes,
and I looked on Beacon, and it's been a while. I can't remember who owns that, but I find that interesting. I find all the sales interesting and like what the links are. It's probably my getting older that I'm like thinking and looking at that stuff. But so now they're selling it, and they're moving over on 21st.
Do you have in your home?
How
many cork boards with strings do you have in your home?
Just one, but it's really big.
All right.
And the rest of it's just in the wall. I'll be interested. I mean, that's the problem with downtown Newcastle. And Newcastle's the size where we're not big enough to do some of the stuff that Indianapolis does. We're not small enough like Fortville, where anybody can pick up a downtown building and then restore it and it'll be fine. These are pretty large buildings. There's we're a smaller community. So, like the bank building that's for sale on Broad, it's going to take something special and unique, or, a creative problem solver to get in that building and make something of it. I think if you do it the right way and somebody has the right money, I think it's ripe for living. I mean, there's bones of an apartment there. Apartments. So I think there's something like that, but they got to preserve the gym, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it is in the historic district. So I think it is. I know that line's right there, and it may be across the street, which would be unfortunate. But if it was in the district, you could have tax credits. You would be able to, we as a community could be sure that the gym would be preserved.
Could you just move the line there, Mr. Councilman?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why we haven't done that. I mean, it hasn't really been.
It would be a glaring omission to leave the line across the street.
Yeah. I only say that
to the old Brammer
from
furniture
the
place,
gym,
but not
yeah.
the Church Street gym.
Yeah, I only say that because I feel like the Elks always comes up in conversation, and I always feel like they're just outside of it. And if they're just outside of it,
And the
then
Church Street gym's probably
chances
outside of it.
are,
Yeah.
unless they did an old Zuckerberg zag around the Elks, but
In case they gerrymandered the Elks out.
yeah, exactly.
They
Just
made-
like good Hoosiers do.
They made it like white estates. Oh, that's not a part of our thingy.
Yeah, White Estates wasn't on the notes.
Too many Republicans down there.
Yeah.
As if you read the notes. All right, so you don't necessarily want to buy a YMCA building.
I
As
don't
the
want
city.
I don't want to buy. I mean, even there's been talks in the past, I'm not talking recent past either, about running water infrastructure, west of town and south of town. And I understand that that's a way to bring in revenue, right? Because we can't sell as a city. I was just talking to Ashley about this. We can't go like sell more widgets and have a great year and, be able to fix everything. Like that's not how public funded entities, schools, cities, counties, libraries, etc. That's not how they work. But the cost, I feel like the return on investment for an infrastructure project like that is too, the term is too long for where we're at now. We get out of this. And then, when it comes to long-term planning, absolutely. Let's look at some of those things.
You need to rebuild houses on sites that are within city limits.
Oh,
They have
yeah.
things right there.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. And that's, I don't know. I guess that's the frustrating part of this job, is that, you can throw these things out there. And I have stepped outside of the job description of a city council person multiple times over the last 8 years. And actually had a conversation with somebody after a meeting that said that I need to stop doing that and just do my job. But projects like
somebody that was complaining about your live streams.
Lack of no complaining about other opinions of mine. But I mean, part of me thinks, yeah, you're right. Let's do that. But also part of me thinks like this is my community, and if this is the platform that I have, then I'm going to go to bat for the projects that I think would be valuable to the community and everybody that lives here. So anyway, kind of got off on a tangent there, but I think the ship is being righted, so to speak. And I know that people keep hearing that, but with this budget, the reason we are where we are is because of misbudgeting the health fund for a number of years. And now that, bringing it up 5 and 6 times and trying to make sure everybody's on the same page and how the plan works and, what all that fund pays, because it's not just the health insurance and all that. It's not the health insurance. It's not the people that are on the health plan that is the reason we're here. It's neglect for 10 years or more.
So with that,
way more than you bargained for.
Let's talk about some happy news.
Yeah.
North Carolina, Zach, they got whacked, man.
Yeah.
Hurricane hit, the biggest, most widespread hurricane that I can remember, as far as the number of states, geography, where this thing went. Indiana here, I have a piece of flashing that's pulled off, so I'd like my FEMA money.
How dare you?
What's Joe flying over his house in a helicopter?
We're going to get to helicopters here in this segment.
Look at all the damage to his pool. We should give him a tax abatement.
Cracked a slab. It's condemned. Incredible amount of water fell. I think they had like 40 inches of rain in parts of western North Carolina.
Yeah. The scale of that storm is still like trying to wrap my head around it.
There are images that show that the clouds went literally from Florida to Canada.
Well, where I go on vacation is quite a ways away, and they got the weather that we got over the weekend. The other side of it, though, like they were on the other side of us. So
They were on the east end. We were on the west end.
they were 700 miles away, and then that makes sense. Then that roughly, if you kind of go straight line through, the Appalachian Mountains, kind of foothills, are right in the middle, and they got pounded. But yeah, the scale of it, like I've got friends that live in the greater kind of Asheville area, not like within an hour of there. And Luckily, their house was okay, but they had flooding up to their kind of towards their house. Not really; they weren't ever in danger. They're up on the hill, but like I was like doing the quick measurements. They were 500 feet from this creek that overflowed into their backyard, and then like they found out their camper was ruined, their boat was ruined, and at the lake that their camper and their boat sat on, the water level in that lake rose 18 feet in 3 days. And you're like, they're in the mountains. Like they're at altitude. They're at some level of altitude. I think Asheville's at 2,100 feet. And just like, and we didn't have a bad year. They had the most miserable looking football game I've ever seen on Friday night.
There was a lot of folks complaining on Friday night about that game happening.
It's football weather, baby.
You know what though? I only saw one, and I would think that we're a small enough town with good enough communication amongst the people that are involved that if this was an issue, they would have said something. The only argument I saw was that they had emergency medical staff just to have to sit there at the games.
Right.
That's the only good reason I heard anybody say. But I'm assuming that if it would have gotten bad enough, that EMS is like, hey, we have to go, then they would have said we're leaving, and they would have called the game at that point. But yeah, that's only. Other than that, it looked hilarious. I wouldn't want to sit in it. I was at the school for something else, and I walked out and was like, well, that's miserable, and I got in my car and left. So,
well, and I mean, if you didn't have the turf field too, and it was the old field,
it would have been made. The field would
then
be.
You would have.
They would have been sodding this week.
Yes.
The Friday night calls that came into Henry County 911. They got 141 calls on Friday. They normally have 58. Between 5 and 8 p.m., they had 84 calls. That's more than they normally have 20 during that time period. They had 93 law enforcement incidents between 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. on Friday night here, and they had 25 the day before.
Good God.
EMS responded between 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. They responded to 47 calls, and the day before the same period, they had 11. So 4 times the volume for the fire and the emergency.
So if anybody was underserved because of that, then yes, that is a valid reason why they should not have had the football game, was just to give those people a better place to be, because there was obviously a better place to be than watching a football game in case one of those guys got hurt. But other than that, those kids will remember that, because I can remember like a YMCA soccer game I played where it rained so much like part of the field was underwater, and I can remember playing a soccer game in the snow, like with snow sticking to the ground. And it's like you do remember those things, but it was sketchy. The weather that night was real sketchy because it was raining and it was very windy and a lot of trees and branches.
It was the wind, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Trojan Woods there could have just been full trees just picked up and thrown on the field across the street.
Throw them all the way across the street over the scoreboard.
I mean, the wind was crazy.
It was coming out of a weird direction, coming out of the east. I had water pushing into my home. Rainwater just getting blown in.
That was the strangest
it was
thing.
Coming in places that it never comes in.
Is that there's a thing on my watch next to my phone, because running watch, and there's a little app that'll tell you like, hey, there's rain coming in X number of minutes. And I was like, it says there's rain coming. I walk outside and there's dark clouds to the east, and it didn't look that bad to the west. And I looked up and I realized it was moving from east to west, which goes against everything that we deal with here.
Right.
Like our weather always comes from
the
almost
west
always
the
comes
south.
from the west. It might come up from this. Sometimes it'll south to north or whatever, but it almost always is coming from the west. So to have it moving across, and I looked up the radar and I'm like, oh yeah, it's just that's the way it's spinning. But that was like, I felt like, oh, this is the old man in me that's like, that's not supposed to happen. It's supposed to be coming from the window. The window's not over Date. The window is over Terre Haute. Like that's why I was, strange thing.
Interstate 40 is going to be shut down until probably September of next year. At least a year. I mean, they were just total washout bridges. I obviously in my industry we do bridge repair, bridge replacement, and watching the videos come in of the flood damage was just surreal. Phones. Did you spend some time on social media seeing some of this?
Negative.
Local media reports. I noticed you're notably quiet, so I'm trying to give you a chance here.
Listen, Facebook and Instagram for me is like bourbon, cigars, and that's about it.
It's not flash flood coverage as it is for me.
No.
It was surreal. Like entire bridges just getting picked up and gone. It's the dirty little secret. When we build a bridge, we count on gravity still being there, so we don't nail them down. They just kind of sit on top of a pier. We don't account for water picking it up and it leaving.
Are you serious?
They like poured footers and had these.
That's a if you squint, it's mint stuff right there. Like we don't really bolt this down.
That could be a lawsuit soon.
That's a fun Facebook group.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot holding it in place other than gravity. We just kind of count on things being really heavy. But when you have when water gets that high, and it all just gets washed away.
The washout
the bridge turns into a big old sail.
Well, the washout on 40 looks like it's not even a bridge. It's like it's a crook.
That's a retaining wall.
Oh, it's like a crook in the river, and the river got so big that it just pushed. It just started collecting the outside.
If I had to guess, what happened is that is, you guys can Google this for as you're going along driving your cars. Just try to stay in the road. I keep this instruction a lot. I know you guys hear that too. Just while you're driving, check this. It's probably an MSE wall, which is a mechanically stabilized earth wall, which basically is a vertical faced wall with tiebacks that go into sand or some sort of dirt, so it's mechanically stabilized. And my guess is that the water got so high that it lifted and got behind where those tiebacks are.
Makes sense.
And they are held in place with friction. If it all liquefied,
like sand
tieback just goes away, and then the roadbed collapses down below.
Yeah.
And I'm not an engineer, but I've sat next to them, and I'm pretty sure something like that's what happened.
But you stayed at a Holiday Inn last night.
Or Hampton people. Yep. Ron Milford, Holiday Inn Express. How the hell did he have that before we
I
did?
know.
That's fantastic.
He had that before. Yeah, before you started talking about, like, right at the beginning of that, Ron was on it. He had that coming real quick.
He knew it was coming. So that was surreal. But I have enjoyed the human response. Obviously, there's a massive tragedy. Over 100 people have been dead, found dead, and there's sad stories. But there's also folks that are going above and beyond and responding.
Mancino's.
The national is Mancino's helping out too?
Mancino's is like taking a bunch of sandwiches and chips down there and taking donations of other things, and they're like really hoping that they have to rent a U-Haul. And I mean, that's the feel good stuff that reminds you that, hey, it's not just all the stuff that you're seeing. So obviously you have folks that are on the ground that are local to North Carolina that immediately, if you've got a tractor, if you've got an ATV, you've got a chainsaw, you're kicking in, doing what you can. There's a guy named Greg Biffle who's a retired NASCAR driver who these rich guys that are NASCAR guys, they'll go buy helicopters or stuff and play with them. So they wound up by Tuesday of this week, there were 50 guys with private helicopters that were flying missions, essentially, of picking up supplies and then dropping them into areas that had no road access. So dropping off insulin, bottled water, and then when they drop something off, and they would pick people up and take them back out. So if somebody had a broken limb, whatever, they were flying them back out to safety.
I mean, this is the social media, whatever. But at one point they said Asheville was only accessible by air for a short period of time because either the roads were washed out or your bridge floated off because you all didn't want to put a bolt in it, or the roads were probably blocked by debris, I'm assuming. But yeah.
You think that bolt was going to have anything to do with the Noah's Ark flood of 2024?
We will never know.
I'm never gonna forget that they don't bolt bridges down. Every time I drive across one, I'm like, well, this is the time it's just going to fall over.
Yep. This is when gravity's going to stop working.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that if the Earth starts spinning, you got more problems than that bridge not being there. Starts just lifting off.
Well, I don't know how accurate this is, but I did also just see, again, social media, that the Helene has been significantly worse, by all the numbers, than Katrina.
It was localized. This
was widespread.
Yeah.
And it hit an area that's not supposed to get hit by a hurricane.
Well, that's true.
It's like there's some sort of a change in the climate, and I don't understand why do we even get that or have any warning. But stuff's just not what it used to be.
I mean, between that statement and your Facebook lately, you might be like, all those are Democrat bumper stickers, right?
Yeah, I'm voting Townsend for governor. I don't know who he is. He's probably been dead since I was born, but I now own a Townsend for governor. And I know he's a Democrat because, first of all, it says it, and second, there's a union label down there in the corner. And I know you guys, if you run for office as a Democrat, you have to get the union label.
That's right.
Do you know that, Bones?
I did.
You know, when you order political stuff, they literally ask you, you want the union label or not?
Always.
Every time.
Always want the union label. Union builds America.
Breaking news. Dock worker strike's over.
Yeah.
He settled it today. Did you know there was a strike?
I didn't know there was a strike.
Okay, I didn't know if you were just looking at bourbon or not on the Instagram.
He couldn't get his bourbon. It was delayed.
Yeah.
Yes,
The Irish
dock,
whiskey.
The dock workers down in Lexington. Their union was unaffected.
You know how hard it is to get shit across the Ohio River since the bridges aren't held in by anything.
Aside from gravity.
So are you saying if somebody hits the bridge pillar, that there's a possibility that thing just comes off?
No, the pier is in the ground. I'm talking about the superstructure, so the deck that sits on top of that pier.
Yeah.
Gravity is what's holding that bridge deck on there.
In friction.
And yeah, so the friction of gravity. That's it. But there's not a hell of a lot holding it there other than it just sitting there. It weighs tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds. It's not going anywhere.
God, it does now.
I just want somebody
It's
to
like
hear.
ratchet straps, man.
I just
What
want
do you want?
somebody. I want somebody insane to hear this. I want them to go full up on a bridge. Just start getting balloons and just full on. Just like we're gonna float a bridge.
Yeah.
So do you think when they're actually building the bridge, they sit there and shake it? You go, yep, that's not going anywhere.
They have to.
Yeah.
They have to.
I feel like Jeremiah turned into Neil deGrasse Tyson.
You wanna
talking
call a
about
contractor real quick?
bridges.
So all they really need to do is put a tie down strap on.
Yeah,
it,
just
strap
a
it to
couple
the-
ratchet straps before a storm, and it'll be
but
fine.
You have to. As
You have
Bones
to
said,
flick it.
You gotta flick it. You gotta say, "I ain't going anywhere," and then you're good.
Yeah.
Everybody knows this. State law.
A little rubber
R.I.P.
cement. We just go right about our
I'm
day.
trying to look and see. I wish that Google Maps had clearly labeled where this. I drive this section of I-40 every year.
Not anymore.
So I'm
Yeah,
curious.
next.
Yeah, not
Are you
next
going to
year.
go next year? Can you get there from here now?
Yeah, I have
You have
I have a different way.
You have to drive to like Richmond, Virginia, or something crazy.
No, actually, the way that we go is actually debatable. We have two different routes we can take. So that way we 75 to 40. We can take 77 down, cut over, and get on at like Charleston, and go down 77. And actually, it's a little quicker, but like 40 is just easier because it's literally 74 to 75 to 40, and it's a smooth drive. Kentucky's got one of the nicest stretches of interstate, comparatively speaking to the Hoosier State.
Low bar.
Well, yeah, Jeremiah and I are well aware because in the RV forums now, I-70 gets called out.
Said that.
It got called out again. It gets called out every single week. But yeah, that's usually just the lower stress way. The other way goes like the West Virginia Turnpike, which is surprisingly garbage for having to pay to drive on it. Yeah, so I easily have a way around that particular thing. But I'm just kind of curious to where it is because I drive that section of road every year.
Well, when you drive it here in a few years and it looks all new, you go, oh, that was it.
Yeah.
So this week has been the week of debates. Tuesday night, there was a big vice presidential debate between Tim Walz and J.D. Vance, the governor of Minnesota and the senator from our neighboring state of Ohio. Last night was the first gubernatorial debate in Indiana that had Jennifer McCormick and Mike Braun leaving out Don Rainwater because the owner of the TV station, Fox 59 and CBS 4, is this big national organization, and they wanted 10% for any candidate appearing on the ballot. Rainwater polled at like 9%. Last time he polled, he was over 10% statewide, but they boxed him out. So Wish TV, the former CBS affiliate, now the CW affiliate in Indianapolis, they had a debate today that just happened between Rainwater, McCormick, and Braun. So lots and lots of debates to talk through this week. Let's take them in semi-chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys watch any of the Tuesday events, or was I the only one that
I'll give you
suffered
3
through it?
guesses, and 2 of them don't count.
Maybe.
You lost.
You were watching Whiskey Talk.
What night
I'm
was
glad
this
you
on?
do enjoy visiting this show, though.
Absolutely.
And adding your irreverence.
We talk about politics like 5% of the time.
True.
He's in the Jesse Riddle mold tonight, Zach. He really is.
He's lucky he started showing up during a completely uncontested election season for the local government, I mean, that's we just like, well, it's a strange thing. Yeah. Normally we would talk a lot more about it if there was like a contested race in this community that we could have the candidates on. That's what we've been doing for the last
since this show began.
We
right? And at this point, there are so few. There's nothing local enough for us to invest our time in.
Yeah, we'd be in the midst of it if there was.
Correct.
Listen, I think there's some, and again, you've got the election, and then there's some time, but this open seat for the county council, I think, could be interesting.
It will be interesting to see how it gets filled.
I think you need to start putting some controversial, guessing out there for that.
In my mind, this is totally off topic, and I want to get back to the debate. But if Commissioner Plummer is not the candidate to replace Councilwoman Hoon, she's the obvious successor.
Yep.
One person that's incredibly involved in county government sliding back over to the other position, and then it's essentially a seat swap.
Yep.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
I would be surprised. I would be surprised if that's not what happens.
Yep.
If Commissioner Plummer is interested in the job.
That's right. That's
All right.
what it comes down to.
So,
I did not watch to answer your question, I did not watch it live because I think that was the night.
Because the time works for you, sir.
Exactly. Actually, we did have a tennis match that night. It got rained out, and we held off. New pal drove all the way here. It was late, and then it just opened up. I mean, it just really came down, like right as we were trying to start.
Rained on their drag.
It did.
Party.
It was the last match, and we can't reschedule because of high school sectional. But so, I mean, by the time I got everything else done and everything settled, I think I passed out, honestly. But in catching up this week, I think it was so. I mean, did it feel weird? I know that word is overused in this election cycle, this campaign cycle, but I think it felt weird to me, and I think it felt weird because it was the first somewhat civil national debate we've had in a while
in the post-Trump era.
Yeah, honestly,
national scale.
It felt weird because I don't know that. I mean, I know I've seen that everybody thinks that JD Vance had a strong showing, and that's great. I know. I think I heard somebody say that one of the first things that Walz said when he was picked for VP was, "I'm not a good debater," and that was obvious.
Walz came off as very, very nervous, especially in the beginning. Zach, did you watch this, or did you skip out on it?
I have not been home this week, so no.
You're excused. Aaron and I will talk through this one.
Yeah.
Walz was super, super nervous, and you could tell.
Yeah.
That he used the same. Oh my God! Could you imagine? No, 70 million people watching you, and you've been on the ticket for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And you're responsible for talking about national issues. When you've been a state level person is
right.
Insane. The foreign policy would blow my mind.
Absolutely.
Like the responsibility of dealing with foreign policy would be just beyond anything I could even wing. JD Vance had a really good night. He sounded very good. He was not overly bombastic. He was on point. He sounded very smooth.
Yeah, his lies really just kind of resonated at the same level of everything, the few, truths that he put out there. That's the difference.
There was a lot of Midwest agreement.
Yeah.
I found this biggest story for me was that I still have on Twitter/X, I follow everything Donald Trump tweets. So it pops up on my phone, and I just look at it.
That sounds like a recipe for mental health
and
anguish.
See what
I'm thinking.
I do it for the audience.
Great drinking game.
I do it for the audience just to see what's on the man's mind. And I was shocked that during the debate, I got a tweet about Pete Rose needs to be in the Hall of Fame. During the goddamn debate.
Yeah.
Right? As JD Vance is talking, it's an emphatic speech about how Pete Rose needs to get in the Hall of Fame before the funeral.
Because he's not on the debate stage.
So when you're debating and your boss is so invested in your debate, your running mate,
he's adjudicating the man that's been dead.
His
for
ADHD is
40 hours
so hard,
and has been banned from baseball for almost my entire lifetime. For gambling on baseball.
That's an example of it's all about him. It's all about him. But I did. So Brittany will watch the news all the time. Brittany's my wife. For those people that don't know.
Not your girlfriend.
They've been married 13 years.
Okay.
Taylor Swift anniversary was this year. She watches the news a lot, and that's great because I like to be in the know, so I get it on the periphery. But the way that I like to take in my news is through things like the Colbert Report and the Daily Show. And
Bones, when's the last time the Colbert Report was on the air?
yeah, I know. That's what I said.
God, that's got to be 15 years ago.
Perfect. That's about the last time. What is it? Late night? Is it late night with Stephen Colbert?
How's Craig Ferguson doing? You like that show too?
Coco's the man.
Jay Leno's still on, right?
Yep. And his big chin.
I really enjoy Tom Snyder and his late show, honestly.
Johnny Carson. They said he's talking about his tweet about Pete Rose because he ended it with put him in the hall. Here, let me see if I can do it. Put him in the Hall of Fame before the funeral. And the Daily Show said, you don't have to like swear the body in when they're getting inducted in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't have to be.
It's like purgatory. You got to get him in before he goes to heaven.
Yeah.
He's got to be in the Hall of Fame before he can go to heaven, or it's never happening.
Yeah.
So that was the first one. The second one that came in is that, once again, I got accused. Some people thought that I was maybe more Trump sympathetic than I am, because the people are like, you're shitting all over Donald Trump tonight. I'm like, yes, just tonight. I'm not okay with treason.
I'm assuming that these people are the kind of people that totally lose sarcasm. Like, you can say the most sarcastic thing to them, and they're like, really? Yeah, that's fascinating, whatever. And they have no idea that you're just absolutely blowing.
So Waltz they were talking about school shootings. Once again, they're just as lovely to talk about as flooding in North Carolina.
Right.
And he was telling a speech, or telling about how when he was a member of Congress, he took meetings with victims of school shooters. And he had changed some of his opinions because he had these personal conversations.
Right.
I get that. I've visited Congress as a constituent. I've met with Luke Messer. I've met with Andre Carson's folks. I've gone to Congress and I've had the personal sit down conversations, and I think those are effective.
Mm-hmm.
So Waltz was a congressman from Minnesota before he was governor, and he met with the victims of some school shootings. I think of Sandy Hook
and Parkland.
Yeah. So he's saying that he misspoke, very obviously misspoke, and said that he was friends with school shooters.
Because he, correct me if I'm wrong, he was at one point a very pro Second Amendment guy and has shifted his position
to some limits.
Yes.
So, and this is another one of those tweets that came through for me, and I was just
pissed you right off.
This was my trigger for the night. Trump War Room, which is a verified Twitter account, I guess. I've become friends with school shooters, quote, Tim Walz. That was what they quoted. Andrew Pollock, another verified Twitter account, quote tweets this. My daughter was killed in the Parkland school shooting. It's absolutely abhorrent that Tim Walz has befriended school shooters, disqualifying. That's not fair, right? That's just not fair. And that's it. But nobody knows who the hell Andrew Pollock is. Wouldn't go anywhere. I'm totally sorry, and your kids are a victim, and I get it. It's retweeted by Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Right.
And
that's where I'm like, this is like the definition of just scumminess.
Right.
Was that to me? And people were calling me out saying, what are you doing calling Trump out? You really defend Vance or defend Walz. And it's the character in the moment that matters to me. And there was also another portion of the debate where there was a discussion about January 20th. And, Vance was making the case that the 6th was the, peaceful transition, whatever. And on the 20th, there's a peaceful transition of power. Mike Pence was on the stage on January 20th. Donald Trump was nowhere to be seen. And Bones, this is like the most important issue to me. In the entire, and I've talked about it before.
I saw your Facebook post.
Right.
I understand.
But I hope I wasn't unclear. That like the basis of America is that we transfer power no matter what the hell happened. If our enemy wins, you wish them good luck. They're going to be your president too for the next 4 years.
Right.
That's how it works. I've lost 3 elections. That's the way it goes. If you don't have faith in the American system, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Right. And if you are in a position of leadership and you choose to cut that off at the knees, as that president did, I'm done. Like, I want off the fight.
Right.
You could have, if it's J.D. Vance in 4 years and he's the standard bearer for the Republican Party, then I'm going to have a whole lot more open mind than I am
Yes.
for the guy that led the, call it whatever you want, but the offense of January 6th,
Right.
there's an accountability to me that I can't get past.
Yep.
Even if you disagree with everything before that, that's the non-qualifier to me. And I know, Aaron, you're going to agree because you're a dirty Democrat and you just think
And
that's
that's
a show for Kamala Harris.
And that's the only reason. It has nothing to do with principles, has nothing to do with character, has nothing to do with unwavering accountability, has nothing to do with that. It's just because I'm a Democrat.
You're just looking at labels. So
Yeah.
your opinion won't matter in this case.
Exactly.
But as a disinterested libertarian, who
And for
votes
those
a
that
loser
don't get
every
it, that
single
was
time-
sarcasm.
as a guy that votes for a loser every single time, I am 100% not in favor of the policies of Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
It's not my thing, right? Way too much government spending. There's a massive number of areas that I'm not on board.
I get it.
But I feel like the Republican Party has to be held accountable for continuing to put Donald Trump on as their standard bearer.
Yep.
So I've talked about this, I think when Brian Nichols was on the show 4 weeks ago, if I was ranked choice voting, Trump is last on my list.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Oliver 1, 2, whatever. I don't know. I haven't looked to see if Kennedy got himself taken off the Indiana ballot or not. But if I have ranked choice voting, Kamala Harris is higher on my ranked choice than Donald Trump is. Period. And that was my biggest takeaway for the night was the January 6th, January 20th swearing in stuff. Mike Pence showed up, our former congressman, our former governor. Donald Trump was nowhere to be seen.
Right.
So that's the part that was the big deal to me.
Yeah.
I've talked too much. So if you guys have more.
Nope. I mean, you're spot on. And I think, 2016, a lot of meme content, a lot of entertainment. It's, how bad could it be? If Trump wins, how bad could it be? Do I want to win? No. But if he does win, how bad can it be? It's Washington. There's people surrounding him and insulating him and insulating us, I guess you could look at it that way. And so I think that year I threw my vote away, essentially, because I didn't feel 100% great about either candidate. But again, we don't have ranked choice, so I can't put it out there. But now I think my biggest fear is I think we know how bad it can be by letting our imaginations go there and it absolutely be plausible. Hey, maybe this isn't just another 4 years if he wins, which is crazy to me to even think that that's a part of the conversation, especially given that, we've had one president that has exceeded 2 terms and that's it, right? In the 47. But I mean, that's a real possibility. That kind of stuff scares the shit out of me. And and I've said this because local politics is, I think, where it all happens. A lot of people don't understand that. I was just talking today to somebody that, the voter turnout for the city election is despicably low. And people just want to vote for senator and president. But the local politics is where people can actually come together, agree to disagree most of the time, and move on, because we're all serving our neighbors in public, and we lose that in the distance to the White House. But yeah, I can't remember where I was going with that.
Yeah. To me, in Bones, you can jump in if you want to, but I'm willing to endure the idea of 4 more years of progressive Democrat politics to ensure that the idea of the basic transfer of power still exists.
Right.
And to just get some new blood.
Yeah.
Just to move on. People called it a fever dream or whatever. You got to break the fever. But just to cycle into a new generation of leaders. And maybe the next guy is terrible too, right? Who knows? Or the next girl. Who knows?
Right.
But that's literally where I am, is that I just
that's the you've reached the bottom.
And that's why I started being a little bit more vocal on social media about it, because I backed off and hasn't said a word.
Oh.
But I feel like at some point you have to call it out, and that's where I'm at.
I mean, they all misspeak at some point or another.
Oh yeah.
You just kind of I looked it up because I was trying to remember the details. Trump talked about taking over the airports during the Revolutionary War. Like he talked about the air superiority of the Revolutionary but so like they all do it.
When,
and like
when you have 70 million people watching, and you have nothing but your own thoughts, good luck getting the facts exactly right. Good luck. I mean, that's entirely forgivable.
Fact.
What? And they had overall the vice presidential debate was very, very well spirited. To me, like I said, the story was the behavior of the former president.
And actually,
in his live commentary,
you say that, and that's probably why we saw a Pete Rose tweet in the middle of it, because that's not the nature of Trumpism and Trump's politics, and that's where I was going earlier. Was we've gotten so, I mean, obviously when you split a country up into teams because you have general disagreements, you're going to have division. But that wedge has just gotten so big now. We have the two very outside options, and that's it. Like when people come back towards the middle, now, I say that and then I start backing up because, I mean, I still think that it shouldn't matter who you love and you should be able to be married. It shouldn't matter what you look like. I mean, there's basic things that I think should always be protected, but I mean, there's just no sensibility. It's because there's cameras everywhere, there's media everywhere, and it's Jeff Jackson talks about that all the time on TikTok, that people are so starkly different when they're outside of the cameras.
Yeah. That's one of his most interesting things. He talks about congressmen and congresswomen. He's like, they'll be screaming at each other and acting like they hate each other and about to fight, and the minute the cameras get off, they're fine. They're friends, they can talk, but they know that they have to misbehave or behave like crazily to get on TV, to get the camera time. If they're normal, reasonable human beings, then even people that should be paying attention, i.e. the president, will then be like, well, I'm going to talk about Pete Rose then, because this isn't entertaining to me right now.
Right. Even if it's just security cameras, Lauren Boebert, like you just need to, perform acts and get some notoriety. But back to what I was saying, like I think even before we started the whole evening, I think you get straight ticket voting and you get money out of politics, and it's totally different. But that'll never happen because that's the way certain people drive our society and get what they want, and it's just the way it is. It's not going to go away. That's why, I mean, supermajority in Indiana is not going to go away. Transitioning to your next sub bullet.
So I just don't want to take Bones' chance away to comment on this that he's been hiding from me.
He loves Jennifer McCormick.
Who? Yeah. Listen, politics are not me. Okay, you guys go head to head. I'm just sitting here.
So there have been two more governors' debates. I have literally no idea what happened in the third one. The second one, I'd like to pretend it doesn't exist because my guy Don Rainwater got cut out of it. So I'm really looking forward to the Wish TV result. However, I know Aaron participated in watching some of it. The main point I wanted to get to is that the Braun campaign has gotten nasty this week, or turned negative for the first time in a very long time for a Republican candidate for governor.
Color me shocked.
They played around with AI. And within 48 hours, they said, hey, there's some new AI rules. We think we've complied. They then took in their campaign commercial, they took a crowd shot of Jennifer McCormick. That was people holding up signs for Jennifer McCormick. They then just turned them into banned gas stoves. Everybody standing behind Jennifer McCormick, banned gas stoves, trying to paint her as a liberal. They then realized, oh shit, we didn't put the disclaimer on here saying that we've altered this, so we're sorry. And then they had to do a recall to the media outlets to then remove it. And then the Jennifer McCormick thing, it just had people holding the Jennifer McCormick signs with the original image behind it.
Think about how much time AI could have saved Chris Spangle in the Wind era of Henry County.
It reminded, I'm glad you brought this up. It reminded
us. Just now hit me.
It reminded us of the time that there were a bunch of people protesting Memorial Park, the Save the Doughboy, and those signs got changed in some pictures.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yes, the Doughboy
That's
statue
what it was.
photo, infamous in local politics as well.
Well, what it comes down to at the state level and in the national level.
By the way, are you okay with gas stoves as a liberal Democrat?
No, they are absolutely horrible.
I love gas stoves.
They cook so well.
I only had one.
No.
I've only had them for like
No?
a year
No.
in college, and they're instant on and they're instant off, and I love it. And oh man, I love a gas stove.
We're talking like the actual stove. Oh, the stove. Never mind. I'm thinking the oven. God damn it.
I was literally looking for. Bones was gonna pitch gas stove or electric stoves tonight.
Gas is okay. It cooks a little hot at times.
Yeah.
We have.
Have you
it's
tried
fun-
turning it down?
I have. This is the first time I've ever had a
there
gas
is a-
stove.
the man's alive.
because
Passionate about his
well,
cooking
Gas
appliances.
stoves, baby.
because a gas stove essentially is cooking the same temperature as the volume of energy it's going to pump into it because by how much
All
gas
right,
you're combusting because it's either on fire or it's not.
I understand that, but
Electric,
if you turn it
but-
all
yeah.
the way down, it still boils
But I mean,
water. for
like
me.
electric though, you can turn electric down to, in theory, below on fire. You can't turn gas down that much. So I understand that.
I've found that gas stoves catch towels while you're folding them on fire way easier than electric stoves.
Folding
Gas stoves are much better for comedic value. In any comedy, you
That's true.
you light yourself on fire with a gas stove.
a lot easier to heat your house when your furnace goes out too with that gas stove. You
So-
have more
Cigarette
bad
I
lighting.
can't say that.
Dicken's folding his laundry next to it.
So a few years ago, there was this big propaganda deal that came out that the liberals like Aaron wanted to ban gas stoves. The Braun campaign attempted to just paint former Republican,
That was a West Coast thing, wasn't
former
it?
Republican,
probably.
superintendent of public instruction Jennifer McCormick, who's now a Democrat, Henry County's own, as a liberal, and saying, hey, she supported Hillary Clinton, she supported Joe Biden, so therefore she supports these policies, and they've had to walk them back. Every poll that's come out has Braun leading massively.
Yeah,
It's Indiana.
Right.
Right.
So that's where this is.
it's like the forecast in Florida. It's definitely raining.
This is where it's baffling. Is that why do you go negative when you're up by 10 points?
Because I mean, you're talking about somebody who is close to Donald Trump, and much like the Pete Rose tweet, he is feeling squirmy that it's not 100-0. For me, at both the national level and the state level, what it comes down to for me, I mean, not just only what it comes down to, but I mean, I just feel like for whatever reason, McCormick, Walls, for example, are fairly normal people. Like, I feel like they lead normal lives with normal families. And it's not as much of a show, I guess, even though I'm not stupid. Like, I know it's a show, it's politics. You have to have that to some degree, I'm sure. But with Braun during the debate just seemed, I don't know. I feel like, and again, this is probably just my liberal dogma bias, but I feel like it's too dark and gloomy. I mean, they're trying to win with fear rather than, and what they're not going to do. So they're not going to tell you what they are going to do, because then you may change your mind.
So Abdul Hakim Shabazz, indiepolitics.org, friend of the program, he had a survey September 23rd to September 25th, 600 likely voters. Donald Trump in his poll has a 16-point lead over Harris, 55 to 39%.
Mm-hmm.
Governor's race, they have McCormick at 37%. I'm sorry, at 37%, Braun at 44%, and I believe they've got Rainwater in the 7% range right now. I'm sorry, they have him at 9% right now.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely closer, right? Like, McCormick is much closer than any other statewide race. The Attorney General's race, Todd Rokita's got 51%. Destiny Wells got 36%. There is no libertarian in that race.
Yeah.
So among the statewide, it's definitely the closest. I don't think it's enough for them to have to go negative yet. And
No.
I think going negative can potentially take away from your base,
I mean, I would hope so.
or take away from your number on the back end.
Well, and I don't know. I know there's a lot of Republican voters that are going to vote differently in this presidential election than they have in the past. I don't know if that carries over to the governor's race. Ever since 2016, and I would still consider myself new to everything politics, even though I've been doing it 8 years, or paying attention for 8 years. It's just, I don't trust anything that I see now since 2016. It's wait and see kind of process. So
Brent Spicer is watching. He says going native will not turn off the mega base.
Fire them up.
Not a lie.
Yeah.
The fear thing's their whole thing.
Right.
They're like, blame everything on other people. And
the question is how big is it? And some of that mega base, Rainwater had a huge percentage of. He finished second in Henry County.
Right.
He was second place in 30 counties 4 years ago.
Right.
How many of his voters stay with him? How many are okay? There were a lot of his voters were because they were absolutely pissed off at Eric Holcomb over COVID. Is the highest libertarian in forever, especially in a three-way race statewide. How well does McCormick appeal to the middle? She's been very, very much running as a progressive on abortion side.
Right.
Which isn't necessarily in line with mainstream middle Hoosiers. Braun has not been the strongest candidate. It's the most fascinating. Christie, 33 counties. It's definitely the most fascinating race on the ballot this year for me.
Right. Well, and again, I mean,
we're going to see what happens coming out of this debate. There's going to be some sound bites that may adjust how things go over the next 30 days,
and some of them may be AI generated. I think that I think Braun and I think Jefferson Shreve are two real good examples of what money in politics. If you have enough money to send people full-size posters in their mail, even registered Democrats, even elected Democrats, then chances are you're just going to spend your way to the seat. And what's the merit behind that? I mean, I've got some thoughts there, but again, it's not going to change, and the gerrymandering's not going to change as long as the supermajority's in control, because I think that side, even though they're in control and want to invoke fear, they themselves are also scared of losing power so much that they would do just about anything to keep it.
The other really big wild card in the governor's race is that Micah Beckwith is the lieutenant governor nominee for the Republicans. I think he does help.
Is this Pharisee Micah Beckwith? Is that who we're talking about?
He's a pastor, yes.
He's a Pharisee, yeah. Okay.
Micah Beckwith, I think, potentially pulls a lot of the protest base away from Rainwater, but he also potentially drives up some of the more progressive voter turnout to vote against him. How that turns out and shakes out, I think, is like I said, the most fascinating part of politics this year. He made a comment in an interview calling McCormick's campaign a Jezebel spirit.
Yeah.
Which probably is not advantageous language to use when you're giving debates.
Well,
that's kind of bulletin board material, I would imagine, if you're the Democrats. Because there are a hell of a lot of ladies running statewide in the congressional offices this year in the state. Cindy Worth here in the 6th district,
right?
Yeah, Destiny Wells, Jennifer McCormick, et cetera,
right?
Valerie McRae is the Senate candidate.
I think you're right.
As a Notre Democrat, you should know that.
I know.
You shouldn't have talent.
It's been tennis.
Running against my guy Andy Horning.
It's been Yannick Sinner. It's been Carlos Alcaraz. It's been all these tennis players.
John McEnroe
in my Rolodex up here. I think that's what has kind of, I guess, infuriated me. It seems a little aggressive, but I'm a Jesus follower and Quaker, and that's,
you're not really a fighter then.
Not really. And I mean, that's the kind of household.
Vietnam bones.
That's the household.
Dodgers.
That's the reason. That's the household that we want to have. And so when you have a self-proclaimed Christian and a pastor, it's a weird way to show Christ's love, is to alienate over half of the state of Indiana.
Quakers just aren't in fire and brimstone, are you?
No. Super ironic too, and that's somebody sent me that clip, and that's the word I use. It's ironic because I don't think they realize that because what did he said that, on the ticket they have the Jezebel spirit on one side and then this, powerful, bold leadership on the other side. And I know how he has it in his mind, but as I see it, it's actually flip-flopped, because I think it's incredibly ironic that, like the Pharisees, he is casting judgment and just some real sick stuff from that guy. Just some real sick stuff. And, so
you're still undecided?
Still undecided, because I was kicked in the head by a horse. You've
might have been an ass.
You've walked out there on Facebook, and I try to be a little cautious because of just what I know people don't agree with me in general here locally on some things, and I don't necessarily want to get into it with them nationally. But depending on how this election goes, that might be different.
I know who I'm voting for governor. I am still technically undecided on president.
Yeah.
But I sure as hell am not voting for Donald Trump.
You're leaning. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
I know who I'm not voting for.
I get you. Yeah.
Pete Rose died.
Yeah.
Really?
Died in Las Vegas, of all places.
Imagine that.
You thought he'd have paid for
I think I saw him one time outside of ESPN at Las Vegas signing autographs for like
$7 a piece.
Yeah.
83 years old, played in Cincinnati, legend there, 63 to 78, went away, played with the Reds again from 84 to 86. He was the player manager of the team from 84 through 86 when he took himself off the roster and coached or managed the team until 1989. And then there was a minor scandal at the end of his career that led him not to be banned from baseball for the rest of his life.
Minors. They need to bring back the player manager.
Obviously, Donald Trump has weighed in on this, on his death, and that Donald Trump thinks he should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I know the man was selling shoes, walking the hall at the end of his life. You guys have any thoughts on Pete Rose as we read his career into the record? It was a very big deal for the generation older than us,
right?
I know in talk radio, if you wanted to fill time, you would talk about one of two subjects. You would talk about daylight saving time, or you would talk about should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame. It's much like wind in Henry County. Those are the topics you would talk about.
It's a little bit crazy to me. Like, his stats speak for themselves. Obviously,
all-time hit king for baseball.
I mean, stolen bases has to be up there, I feel like, but
I don't think stolen bases were very good.
No,
they might have been.
For some reason that came to mind, but obviously I'm just north of Dakota's.
I grew up
sports prowess.
I grew up as a Cubs fan and still a Cubs fan, so I just said he should not ever get into the Hall of Fame just to piss everybody off from Cincinnati.
3 world championships, 75, 76, and 80. He was no longer with the team in 90 when they won again. Still a legend in Cincinnati to this day.
You think about some of the other stuff that's happened in baseball. McGuire, Sosa, juicing, cork bats, even Shohei Ohtani with his gambling controversy. You show up
at a game now, and every other ad is for sports gambling.
Right. But we're still, that's what's crazy.
The man's ahead of his time.
I was going to say, most of the back wall at Great American Ballpark is casinos.
It just feels like they're holding on to it. Who's got something personally against this? It's what I'm thinking.
So you do side with Trump.
I agree with President Trump on that. There we go. The Midwestern Agreement, or whatever you call
alive?
it.
I think Bud's dead too.
Okay.
Rob Manfred, is that name right?
Was that the commissioner then?
No, now. Who? Anybody know this? Zach, you know this off the top of your head?
The commissioner of baseball there?
Yeah.
No.
Somebody's going to drop it in the comments. This is why I watch.
Someone's screaming at us in the car.
Yeah, that's also true.
Was I right? Yeah, Rob Manfred. I was right. Son of a bitch, am I good at this game. I've been the commissioner since 2015, since Bud died.
Yeah.
Dude's had the job for 10 years. He hasn't put him back in either. I don't see it happening.
I think it's like the Book of Secrets. Like when the new commissioner gets in, that's one of the top bullet points.
Who
do not let Pete Rose in.
All right, we'll leave the topic at this. Legal weed in Indiana? or Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame?
Ooh,
Which happens
God
first?
damn.
Which happens first?
We've made it this long, Pete. I'm sorry.
Zach?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't even use it, but yeah, legal. I just don't give a crap about Pete Rose, and like
this is what you want. This is what's your prediction as to what happens
weed's
first.
dang near legal here anyway, so might as well just cut the red tape because you can smell it all the time. So who cares?
Common law legality, is that a thing?
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, like I said, go on a morning walk around Newcastle. And if you get more than about a mile, you're going to hit somebody who's.
That's because we got all these Democrats running this damn city. If it was law and order,
it's true.
There is a strange funk coming from Newcastle now that I've been here more than any other time in my life.
You can't smell it over the smoke of the fires down in Rush County, but
Brad Spicer reminds us it's only a crime if you get caught.
Yeah.
Bones, you have a prediction?
I don't think I'll be around to see either one of them.
That's the winner.
He's moving to Florida.
I think I die. I'm pretty sure not one of us is going to see this.
He would like to thank Hard Truth and Green River Distillery.
I don't recall
his poor liver.
when the controversy happened with him, the gambling thing, but at any point was he ever remotely apologetic, or has he just been? To me, if somebody says describe Pete Rose, I'd be
Bobby
like
Knight from
smug,
baseball.
Yeah, exactly. Smug and arrogant about it, and so I'm kind of like. So, and I did when I heard it, somebody sent me a text and I was like, he's going to get in the Hall of Fame now because it'll be over his dead body. Like literally.
Yeah. Probably.
And so if they want, I don't care one way or the other, but yeah, he seemed to just be this like arrogant, angry, bitter guy the entire time. So I was like, who cares? Like if he had been like apologetic about it, I think his excuse was, I never bet against him. He only bet.
I only cheered for my team.
Yeah. He only bet.
But I didn't bet on every game.
So he wasn't. So his claim is he wasn't fixing games, which is fine.
The extra layer to the onion is that the World Series got fixed by the mob back in the 20s and teens. 1919. The Black Sox scandals, which was really the Chicago White Sox.
It wasn't the mob.
They threw the game.
It wasn't the mob. It was Rothstein.
Well, that sounds Jewish.
Hello.
Oh man!
So there was a scandal back in the teens, and baseball got really, really worried about it, and that's the extra compounding factor to Pete Rose is that he's the poster child forever and ever and ever.
Shoeless Joe's not in the Hall of Fame, correct?
Correct. And then
Shoeless Joe's not in the
this Dodgers pitcher. He's still allowed to play, no problem at all. He's not banned from baseball. Because it was his assistant that was doing. He was interpreter and assistant was doing the betting. Michael Jordan's in the news. Zach Burcham.
I'm thankful I listened to my racing podcast today because they described what this was about, and this is hilarious. I love this.
So, NASCAR is existed since the 1940s. Are you familiar with this story at all, Aaron?
I mean, I know that Michael Jordan's owner of a team, right?
He owns a team with Denny Hamlin, 2311 Racing.
NASCAR is owned by a family.
NASCAR is owned by the France family.
Yes.
I think it's the fourth different France to be in charge since the 40s. Bill Jr., Brian, who got his little DUI, and then Bill Jr.'s brother, Jim, is in charge now.
Passage.
I was going to say...
I mean,
what promotion is next for DUI for NASCAR?
But seriously, like, how many generations into a family can you get where they're running something of that level and somebody doesn't get a DUI?
Somebody screwed up. That's the way it goes. Listen, the Bush family did it. George got picked up at Kenny Bookmore.
Like I said, though, it's just a matter of time.
All right. So NASCAR is following the model of other major sports, and they created franchises, essentially. They're called charters. Their first charters were up this year, and they were up for renegotiation and getting put out again. NASCAR said, you guys have to accept our terms to all of the team owners, because it's not like the NFL where everybody owns a portion of the league. The league is owned by the France family. The France family owns half the racetracks or more that they have. They own and control the race cars that are built. They get a piece of all of the race cars. If you buy parts or pieces or the race cars, they get a piece of that, and they control the contract to get the car made by Dallara. And then they control the charters, and they control the TV revenue, which is a $1 billion conversation.
Huge, yeah.
And then that gets paid back out to the team and the racetracks. So they get a piece of all of these things. And then if a charter gets sold, they also get a percentage of the proceeds, as one does when you own all the pieces. The charters are up for renegotiation, or the terms are being set again for the next, say, 5-10 years, whatever it's going to be. They issued an email. They've been negotiating with teams individually instead of the team owners all getting together and negotiating or having an individual negotiator.
No collectiveness.
There's no collective bargaining. They've been negotiating with each individual team owner on their own. They finally said this has gone on long enough, so they sent a draft proposal out at 5:00 one day and said, you need to sign this by 6:00 or else we're taking your charter away.
It was a 112-page document.
They were benevolent and they said, okay, you got till midnight. All but 2 teams signed. One of the teams that didn't sign is owned by Denny Hamlin, who's actually a NASCAR driver for another team, but also Michael Jordan, worth $3.5 billion.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan obviously played basketball, made a shit ton of money from Energizer.
Negotiated a lucrative first of its kind shoe deal.
And has the shoe deal of all shoe deals where he is Jordan shoes.
There's a whole portion of the Nike compound that's owned by Michael Jordan. Yeah.
Nobody has done better outside of their career than Michael has.
So in addition to that, Zach, if you can check up on the France family and their net worth, I would love for that information.
I can do it.
In addition to that, Michael Jordan spent about 10 years owning the Charlotte Bobcats, sold the team, and also massively increased as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy is uniquely positioned as a team owner. He's a North Carolina guy. He knows NASCAR. He played basketball at North Carolina, which is kind of your thing.
Go Tar Heels, baby.
You're a baby blue Tar Heel.
Carolina blue. It's not baby blue. It's Carolina blue. Just like the color of your shirt.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Roy Williams gave this to me.
I love Roy.
And then Jeff Saturday put it on and said, well, that doesn't work on me, but Jeremiah can wear it. You know where Jeff Saturday played football?
North Carolina.
All right. Good boy.
Don't give me this bullshit.
So
where'd Dean Smith play basketball?
Like North Carolina, Wilmington, I think.
Yeah, he didn't play down North Carolina. He was good enough. Zach, how much is the Francis worth?
So one thing says that Bill Jr. and Jim are worth about $3 billion, and that the France family overall are worth $5.7 billion.
So normally what happens is that millionaires versus billionaires. Pull up Joe Gibbs too if you can. If you don't mind. If there's a net worth for Joe Gibbs, I'd love to have that information. A lot of these NASCAR owners have been in this thing 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. Joe Gibbs, Rick Hendrick, Roger Penske is a billionaire.
I forgot about Joe, man.
Joe's got some big money, too.
Joe's worth this is the AI overview, according to Google, for everybody. Net estimated worth is $230 million. Joe's doing okay.
Joe Gibbs got a huge contract from the Washington Redskins football team Commanders to come out of retirement for about 4 years for some life-changing money. And then he had some FedEx money there, too, for a while. All of that said, billionaires versus millionaires, nobody really cares that much. But this is a dispute that may potentially take. John Orievitz was on this program. You got more fun stuff for Zach?
Rick Hendrick's worth about $1 billion.
Yeah, Rick Hendrick's an auto dealer and NASCAR car owner,
and you got Penske in there. Penske's worth some money.
Penske's a billionaire as well.
Yeah. These guys laugh at horse racers like they're pores.
So these guys all own teams. They have. The operating budget for a NASCAR Cup team is $30 million, $40 million a year to operate the team. They got scared and they signed these deals. Michael Jordan said, this is my freaking golf game. Screw you. He hired an antitrust lawyer and they are now suing the France family. And there's another guy, Bob Jenkins, not the late Bob Jenkins from Liberty, Indiana, that was the voice of the Indy 500, but the fast food magnate who's owned Front Row Motors for the last 15 years. He has the Love's car in NASCAR. They won the Daytona 500 a few years back. But he made his money on Taco Bell and Long John Silver's franchises. He's that guy.
And the Long John Silver's investment was really so he could write it off.
Right. Nobody really knows how Long John Silver's is in business, but here it is.
They exist. That's all I've never set foot in the Newcastle one. 41 years on.
Apparently there was a brawl there today.
So I have a question, just so I'm completely making sense of this. The France family,
yes,
is like Roger Goodell.
Yes, but they also own all of this.
I understand that.
Yes, but they are the commissioner. Yes, they are management.
And then so like Joe Gibbs Racing would be like Jim Irsay.
Yeah. Yes.
Just want
to
make sure I was catching everything.
So Bob Jenkins, front row, he says we're barely breaking even every year. So he's like the token guy so that Michael Jordan is not going at it alone. So his team and the Michael Jordan team are saying double Bird's willpower, screw you to NASCAR, and the lawsuit is on. There is infinite money for Michael Jordan to do this. I don't know how it's going to shake out, but I know it is going to be an incredible ride. They are alleging that they are a total monopoly. They control, and it's kind of true when you lay it out.
Right.
They own the racetracks. Yep. They own the TV revenue. They tell you where you have to buy your cars.
Yeah.
NASCAR has always been family owned and operated, and you play by their rules, and it's very tight and neat and tidy, and that works when there's less commas in the conversation. But now that they're trying to be a big boy sport, and it's hundreds of $1 million a year in revenue that you're sharing, and billionaires are involved. Now they want to renegotiate the terms, and I'm here to pull up a chair and watch it and enjoy it. So I don't know where this is going to go, but it's beyond just, hey, this is a cool sports story. It's a business story that I think people should pay attention to, and that's why it's a part of the show today.
And it's one of those things where Michael does a very good job at like finding talent, like in other things, but when it comes to Michael's money, you better watch the hell out.
That money is for him to lose in a casino. Goddammit. It is not.
He loses that much on a golf course.
Yeah, right. This is screw you money. This is not. This is his hobby, which is the most amusing part of it. And the Francis have never been challenged in 70 years of existence of NASCAR.
Yeah, I looked it up real quick. Jordan currently makes $330 million a year from Nike.
Oh yeah,
his brand is 15% of Nike's business in a year, and he made $94 million as a player his whole career.
Yeah,
so he's in the France family says they make they make hundreds of $1 million a year. That's a whole family. Jordan's just a guy like that. He's just making that himself. So this is the kind of thing that you do. You want to sit down. You got the little GIF. You can send the guy sitting down with the popcorn. Just I'm about to watch this. Yeah. Because it sounded, I hadn't heard about what it was going on, and then you hear that they're slapped with the contract, says you have to sign this. I'm not going to give you a chance to read it. And if you don't, we're going to pull your charters. The charters are worth reportedly
$20 million each,
$20 to $50 million, depending on who's trying to buy them and who it's the team you're selling. Like Chip Ganassi sold out, so there's like big money involved with the charters. And just say, sign this, or we're going to take this away from you. So
I mean, Michael was the type of guy that had you belonged to a golf course in South Florida, and they changed the rule or something, and Michael said, fuck you, I went down the road and built my own. And now everybody from there goes there.
Yeah. And he's got just an insane amount of money, and just is making enough. And he's like, I don't know how old he is now. He's got to be
Jordan's 50, he's probably 60.
Old enough not to give a shit anymore.
58, I bet.
He doesn't care what anybody thinks.
I bet Michael's 58.
He is
61.
Fuck.
Is there any risk that they're like, I'm thinking baseball, right? Like, we can't get and it's probably player contracts is what I'm thinking, but they're not playing any games. I mean, is there any risk of that with this?
I mean, they could not let him field a car next year, but what's he care?
Right.
Yeah. That's the worst thing that happens.
They'd probably feed the lawsuit, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If they didn't let him, or they pulled the thing, they said, well, we got this thing, you took it from us because you didn't give us a chance to like look through this contract. And the fact that they're negotiating the contracts individually tells me that, like, because you have people like Michael Jordan who, oh man, this is a leap of a statement, but you got an African-American guy in a sport that's based out of the South. He probably wants to look at that contract. He wants to go look at Rick Hendrick's contract to see if Hendrick Motorsports is getting the same kind of deal that he's getting.
Right.
And if NASCAR is playing them against each other, and like this guy's getting a better deal than this guy, then that's something that he would not be happy about. I mean, I'm not saying there's a racial component to it, but I bet he's thinking, I'm not getting jerked around by these people.
Right.
But the fact that they wouldn't, I think the individual team negotiations is shady, because you should just be
right.
It should just be this is the rules.
Everybody got the same copy.
You kind of have to wonder. You have to wonder if it's like, Formula One where Ferrari gets special treatment above and beyond every other team because they're
historic.
They're historic, and they've got this, and there's a huge fan base behind them. So we treat them a little better than we treat everybody else. And
yeah.
If you're a patron, you get the show notes. There's some linkage in there for some backstory. I don't expect it to be resolved instantaneously. NASCAR's happening each and every week. Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan's team is winning races. They're really, really good. They're not a bit player. I think they're in the playoffs, at least with one of their cars. And they just did a long-term extension with Bubba Wallace as well. So
yeah, and Denny's gotten in trouble for speaking his mind anyway.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin has since he's moved into ownership, he's turned into one. He drives for Joe Gibbs, but he owns this team, kind of like Dale Earnhardt did. Dale Earnhart drove for Richard Childress, but he owned his own team as well. Denny has moved into that role of just, I've got enough money, I got screw you money, whatever, say whatever the hell I want, and he has his weekly podcast with Dale Earnhardt Jr. on his network. Nice. And he, I think it's it's called Conduct Detrimental. I think is the name of his show, because I think that's how you get fined in NASCAR is that's their little line in the book. Conduct detrimental to stock car racing.
That's awesome.
So that's the name of his show.
Because I think like one of the first episodes he was on Dale Jr.'s podcast and got fined for saying something about like how they officiate or something like that, and they immediately came down on him. So he's like, "Great, I'll do it every week."
That's awesome.
Final thing from me here tonight. Keanu Reeves. If I say Keanu Reeves, what's the number one movie that comes to mind for you, Bones? What's the character? Who's
Matrix?
Neo?
That's what I was going to say.
Or the new one. Where was he? See, it's Matrix. I can't even think of the
Matrix
movie.
for you? Is it?
Yeah, same.
Matrix. Yeah, Zach.
Probably that or Speed.
The Speed Driver. Yeah. So I got a buddy who would say John Wick immediately. That's where he was going. And then for me, it's maybe I'm old, and this is exactly where Kevin Lee went the same place. It was Johnny Utah in the
Replacements.
No,
oh, that was a good one.
The Replacements is a good one. He's in that too.
It is a good one.
Point Break with.
I've never seen Point Break.
It's a great movie.
What was the movie where he's a baseball coach?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
That was a good one.
And now you've got me questioning myself whether or not his name was actually Johnny Utah in Point Break or not.
Bill and Ted.
Hardball.
That's it.
So Keanu Reeves is going to be Indianapolis again. Yeah, he was. It was Johnny Utah in Point Break. Okay, I was questioning my own thoughts here. Danny says he was born in 1963. Maybe he's talking about me being born in 1963. Point Break is about these guys that are robbing. Somebody goes undercover for the FBI. Keanu Reeves does, and they're going undercover robbing banks. Surfer movie back in the early 90s. Great film. Great
Keanu
film.
Reeves is 60.
So
Sorry.
this weekend he will be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway racing a GT car. That's what I was going to say. Is that in August he was here with his damn band. Once again, he's got Michael Jordan money where he can just do whatever the hell he wants to do. You want to make a movie? Cool.
Hobbies
you want
galore.
You want to go play a show with your band at the State Fair? Got that covered. You want to buy your way into a race car? Got that. I didn't know he was coming to town. I had no idea this was happening until this week somebody shares an Instagram post of Keanu in a sim rig practicing in Indianapolis. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. He has a sim rig. The next day I realized, oh shit, he's coming for the 8-hour sports car race that's happening here this weekend.
Yeah, he's running on support races. I didn't know about that either. That's cool. Good for him.
That's fun.
Yeah, he was born. Danny, you're off 1 year. He was born in 64, September 2nd, 1964.
He was my mother's age.
He seems to be one of those guys who's like, he is acting appropriate with his screw you level of money. He doesn't really care about anything that doesn't really matter. He's kind of like, I'm just going to chill and do my own thing. I'm not bugging other people. They're not bugging me. I'm living my life. Everybody should just be good to each other kind of guy.
So if you want to meet Keanu Reeves, it's an open paddock. Go spend $20, buy a ticket to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They can't keep you away from him.
Is that Saturday?
Saturday and Sunday out at Speedway.
Yeah, I think he'll run. They said he's running a support series, so he'll probably run Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning, maybe.
Sunday night. I think it's the last race on Sunday as well. Should be out there all day. All day. Final thoughts, Zach Burcham? We're like at 90 minutes damn near on the show tonight, I think. We're
gonna hit. We're an hour 29 right now.
We are running late.
I'm gonna
and somebody doesn't have a headlight in their car.
Let's push it, baby.
Oh, really?
We're good.
I'm gonna congratulations to Carrie Barrett, who's kind of stepping back from her position. I think she's still going to be around. You're going to see a lot of Carrie Barrett because I think Carrie Barrett's got a lot of energy. And congrats to Emily Hurst, who is stepping into that role. And I've seen she's been kind of Carrie's right hand person. So I think Newcastle Main Street will be in a good spot. And that's a group and a kind of a movement that's been awesome. Like if people want to look back, plaza complaints or whatever, look back at Newcastle 10 or 15 years ago downtown and look at Newcastle now.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I can remember there was like 1.5 restaurants my entire childhood downtown. And now we have like at least three solid restaurants. And then we have the tap house that you can get a solid hot dog and some chips and a beer. So, and you still have the Elks over there, which I didn't count. So yeah, we've got options downtown. Like you have to kind of sit and think, man, do I want to go here? Their food's really good. So that's a huge leap from what downtown was when I was a kid. So interesting to see how things go under Miss Hurst's control. And then we'll see Carrie popping up because I'm sure she won't disappear.
Aaron Dicken, what's a Dora?
Well, real quick, I said the same thing to Carrie the other day because I was thanking her. And I think it's easy in anything in life. It's easy to get caught up in the day to day and not reflect backwards. And man, it's mind blowing when you think. Literally, I think I said 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It just absolutely
Primo used to be the Maxwell House, and then the other side of the block from there.
Yeah,
not that side. There's been some businesses. There's a jewelry store that's not there, but there's like a office supply store. But the other side of the block, I don't recall anything being in that whole side of the block that was worthy of ever going into. I think for a hot minute there was like an Italian restaurant there at one point, but it was like there and gone. And now that block is
retail and eateries.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, Mary Hobbs is about to open up a Beehive Body Company location there.
Good
moving
plug.
in. Yeah, so that block is jumping now.
Good plug. Christy Avery hit Jeremiah's answer nail right on the head. Designated outdoor refreshment area.
Is that like a free speech zone?
It's kind of like a free speech zone where you can't yell fire. So I mean, you would be creating a boundary lines where you could, transport a beverage from, to Zach's point, one restaurant to another, the brewery to the tap house, whatever. It's not a get out of jail free card. It's not you can't arrest me if I'm intoxicated. I mean, all of the normal common sense things that we don't seem to like throw at any other problems in the world, including, gun control and things like that. There's common sense for those things, but there's common sense for that too. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I haven't seen much about it lately, but I know that was a topic of interest. So that's why I wore my cousin Dale gave me this hat, Dale Huddleston. Shout out to Dale about being baptized in bourbon. So I thought that would be an appropriate hat to wear and appreciate the refreshment. The Green River
is a Quaker.
Yeah. He's not a good one.
If it's from the earth.
He's like a Catholic that had no kids. He's not a practicing Quaker.
My fellow Quaker Mark Taylor would say, if it's from the earth, it's okay. And this is like prime from the earth.
That is really
the Green River was really good. And the Hard Truth, 125 proof. It didn't drink like 125 proof. I didn't think. I like that real oaky taste. And
the oaky afterbirth.
I was literally going to say that, and I thought, no, that's too low hanging.
After what I did in Patreon, who cares?
That's true. Final thoughts for me. Just I don't know. It's good to hang out with everybody and kind of give an update. And I'm reachable and responsive. So I mean, if you have questions about city stuff, you can get a hold of me and I'll answer your questions. And I also brought a not for resale proof copy of a new book that's being published called Field House of Dreams: How Inspired Citizens in a Small Midwestern Community Built the Largest High School Gym in the World. This is the magnum opus of my father, Steve Dicken, taught here for over 35 years. Or I mean, maybe Newcastle was right at 35. But this has forewords by Newcastle Mr. Basketball's Kent Benson and Steve Alford. A lot of research.
One of them is our favorite because he's a guest at the Boss Hog.
Oh, yeah, that's
The other
right.
one's not made an appearance yet
That's right.
because he keeps getting jobs out of town.
You need to get with Scott. Yeah, you need to get with Scott Frost and do a remote episode, I think. So a lot of research went into this. It's a little different because it really, and I haven't read it fully yet, but I think it focuses a lot on community because that's how, and we were actually talking about that. We were over at their house on Tuesday night. Like if you put this story in today's world, like nickels and dimes would not buy a gymnasium today. And they have a lot of people, and he references all this in the book, but a lot of people that stepped up and made this what we now is one of our leading visitors attractions. It made it a possibility. So this should be. We just hit publish on Tuesday night at 7:03 p.m. He wanted that time stamped. It's being published through Amazon. He is getting some copies to sell locally. I know the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame is going to have them for sale. I think 1822 Vintage Boutique's going to have some for sale. You'll be able to get it on Amazon. So really excited to see this in real life, I guess.
We'll have to have our people talk to Steve's people about making an appearance on the show. Talk some
have you ever met Aaron's dad? That would be a fun episode.
Aaron's gonna have to help coach.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. He's at a phase in stage of his life that he's not, getting out a whole bunch. And so I've told him, like, look, you are going to be invited to do all these speaking engagements. Let's set you up in your old classroom at the high school, MO05, put you up in front of the board. We'll get a classroom full so we can have the backs of their heads. We'll videotape you doing it once. You only have to do it once. And then somebody wants you to present. Here's the YouTube link. Enjoy. He's coming up with nameplate or book plates like Ross Lockridge Jr. So if somebody wants a book signed that lives out of state, he'll sign, the sticker and mail it. I don't know if that's actually going to happen yet or not. So, I mean, possibilities are endless. That's the exciting stuff for me. And I've told him that I would operate as an extension for sure to make it possible because I think that a lot of people are going to be really excited about this book and it's going to look good on your shelf. So
does it go? There's a curiosity of mine because does it go into just like the environment of the time building gyms? Because
that might be.
That would be an interesting. Yeah.
Like what are the age of some of these other gyms that are up there?
Everybody had to have the larger gym.
Right.
It will be at one point because I Googled it real quick and it shows up and it's built in 59 or whatever, but it says in fact at one point 12 of the 13 largest high school gymnasiums were in Indiana. And I think that most people know that at one point the top 3 were in Newcastle, Muncie, and Anderson.
Yeah, that's true. And that's, you bring that up 1959, and that made me think like he had the minutes to the Gym Now meetings, which was all like the fundraising, which I don't think has been culminated in a book before. But the crazy thing, talk about the butterfly effect, had the roof, and spoiler alert, I guess, for the book, for those people that don't know, if the roof had not collapsed when they started building the field house, we may have not had the Church Street shootout because I think that game would have been played in the field house.
So for those that are maybe joining us for not the 365th time, Newcastle, Indiana is home to the largest and finest high school field house in the country.
It is pretty nice.
So Newcastle has the largest seating by capacity high school basketball arena of anywhere in the country. And that is the topic of this book.
Yeah. It is. If you ever come to Newcastle, try and find somebody. If you find somebody affiliated with the school, I think they're pretty good about letting people in to kind of look at it. I was in there by myself. There was nobody else in the gym last week. And I do stop because the lights were just on the court. They weren't on all the bleachers and stuff. And you do kind of stop. And you're like, this place is huge.
Yeah.
And it looks amazing.
So Braylon's photo is in the book. My photo as the mascot is in the book.
Trojan Warrior.
And then also a portion of these proceeds are going to go to Archie's Promise, which is Coach Cox and Kelly's fund at the Henry County Community Foundation. So that's the last I'll say about it. Enjoy it. Pick it up.
Bones Harcourt, final thoughts?
Yeah. So about July 18th, I think we took a little trip down. Well, I took a trip. These guys weren't invited. They could have been.
Thanks for that.
Next time. We took a little trip down to Hard Truth and we explored their little distillery there. We picked out a little barrel. And so that finally came in today, all bottled up for us. Damn near a 5-year rye. In a toasted barrel, actually, that came in 125 proof.
So it is available for purchase at the Bob O Link.
Bob Link and the 2 Bob Links in Rushville, the
Cambridge
2
City?
Cambridge City, and the 2 in Centerville.
So you can locally pick this up. It's what Aaron, myself, and Bones have been sipping on. It is fantastic.
Did you like it?
Super high proof, but it was incredibly smooth.
I mean,
And I generally bitch out at high proof stuff, and I didn't make a whimper or anything.
Yeah.
And I finished my whole serving.
You did.
I like those high proof ones, especially the ones that, are aged appropriately, have that. I mean, honestly, I like the oak and I like the char. And this, drinks very well. I had an old Hamer 133 proof one time, and it was just like hand sanitizer.
It's a little
much, but the taste was great.
Yeah, a lot of cherry,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of little spiciness on the back. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's not overly rye spicy.
No,
it's
not.
very easy drinking. It doesn't off put you with anything. It's one of the smoother ryes I've had.
And I guess, I totally forgot. Probably because I was shocked and was trying to think about what was actually going on. But yeah, it's a rye.
So 125 proof gives you a 2-hour show.
That's right. Yeah, you only need one. Honestly, it's a value. $75 on the sticker, but it drinks like a $15 bottle because you only need one shot. Final thought from me. No show next week. I will be out in the Atlantic Ocean. I'm going to Bermuda next week. Everybody's like, you're going to be in the triangle? And I've explained this like 100 times. I'm at the top end of the triangle. As long as I don't go to the south end of the island and swim, I'm not in the Bermuda Triangle.
You need to go over. You need to swim. You have to.
Do you know what the Bermuda Triangle is? Bones has got it. Anybody else? All right. Aaron, do you want to guess before Bones teacher's pet?
Actually what it is?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Like the 3 points?
I know what the Bermuda Triangle is,
planes
but
and
I'm
ships
guessing
disappear,
you're
yada, yada,
giving
yada.
me some Neil deGrasse Tyson explanation
That's
about
what we've been doing tonight.
I know.
Bones, what's the Bermuda Triangle?
It's the southern end of Bermuda.
Yes.
Connects down to Miami.
Yes.
Connects over to the Bahamas.
No.
No.
Puerto Rico.
No.
Puerto Rico.
You sure?
When I looked it up in show prep, yes. I believe it's San Juan, or Puerto Rico, Bermuda, and
right.
and
You could be
Miami.
right. Okay.
So basically,
Because the Bahamas would be right off of. It'd be a shitty triangle.
It's
It'd be a really shitty. It would be a triangle.
It'd be a triangle.
But it'd be an ugly triangle because the Bahamas are only like 70 miles off of the coast of Florida.
So so any boat that goes to like Puerto Rico or anywhere in the Caribbean has to go through the Bermuda Triangle because Bermuda is kind of way out there.
Yeah, Bermuda is off
Way
the east
north.
coast of
Yeah.
North Carolina. It is due east of North Carolina. Nobody thinks it's that far north, but
Yeah.
it's way the hell north.
Yeah.
The place is awesome.
It'll be my first time. I get to spend Wednesday of next week there. My dogs will get to spend some very quality time with Councilman Dicken.
Yeah, baby.
He's taking over the responsibility starting tomorrow.
Going to take a before and after picture of my ankles.
Of your ankles.
My
You and the dogs get along okay.
Yeah.
But one of them's a little aggressive.
They
with
do.
You.
Yep. Garth likes to, you explained it very well because we have an Australian Shepherd, a 100-pound Australian Shepherd. That's what it's what he does. And I know that you guys are just watching while I'm there and you hear me yell to try to take over and assert my dominance over this dog. But if that happens, it happens.
He's a 70-pound dog that should weigh 35 pounds.
That's same with ours.
And he's just so goddamn excited to see you every
That's
time.
exactly it.
And he knows you're going to feed him, so he gets a little mouthy.
Yep, he does. But we're good, and we get along great. And sometimes the girls go with me, and I set CC up on the counter so that they don't, because she's still at their level, especially in Nash. She doesn't get a face full of saliva, and it's good. It's a good trip.
It's a good time. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to their book report. I always complain that Aaron spends more time with my dogs than he does with me. And that's why he's here.
More 2-hour shows.
He had a dog sitting thing come up. So I was like, dude, you got to come do the podcast so that my senior sends my dogs out. All right. So no show next week. We'll reconvene mid-October and we'll see what's left of this country. We'll see you then.